Everyone. Okay, I think we're good. Thank you. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for coming tonight. We are going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So we have a lot of people here tonight, which is really great. We love to have people from the public. Typically we do public comments much later in the agenda, and we actually have a pretty long agenda because we have a lot of presentations. So for those that are here to make public comment, we're actually going to tweak our order so that you don't have to sit here unless you want to. So I'm going to ask for a motion to go out of order to do public comment next. Linda, second. Beth, on favor? Aye. Thank you. Okay, so just our standard opening. Before we open the meeting to public comment, we wish to remind you that our meeting is now video recorded and publicly aired. While the board welcomes and encourages public comment, we ask that you be respectful, including any comments you may make about staff. The board does not endorse any comments made by a speaker, nor will the board be held liable for any comments by members of the public. The law prevents the board from speaking about specific students and about personnel matters. For this reason, the board will not answer any questions on these subjects. Finally, the board's policy limits each speaker to 3 minutes. We ask that you respect this policy and the time of your fellow community members by concluding your comments once you reach 3 minutes. Public comment is open for an hour or until public comments are complete, whichever comes first. At this point, I would like to invite any members of the public to come forward and provide your full name and address before you speak.
So I'm Nicole Berman. Can I give my address to you separately? I'm in Mars Township.
Sure.
Dr. Mucci and members of the Board of Education. We're representatives of Temple B'nai Or and Morristown Jewish Center, Beit Yisrael. We're also parents of the Mars School District. We share this letter with you tonight as an affirmation of our desire for a strong and constructive partnership with our district leaders. We appreciate the MSD matrix student supports and resources at times of unrest, including a variety of resources specific to the devastating conflict between Israel and Hamas. It answered many of our questions Jewish families were struggling with, and we thank you for that. But we wondered why it did not merit a communication of its own. Indeed, there was nothing but silence from our district leaders for almost 2 weeks, even as parents reached out and others nearby districts offered words of support to their constituents. You may not be aware why a terrorist attack against citizens on the other side of the world would bring us to our knees in Morristown. For most American Jews, regardless of their level of affiliation, there's only 1 or 2 degrees of separation between us and Israel. We have Israeli friends and family, camp counselors, youth group mentors, exchange students, and other direct connections to the people of Israel. Beyond that, American Jews share a constant and continual fear that the Holocaust will not remain a historical fact to teach our kids about, but it will be repeated. This ever-present fear has been growing in recent years, and the United States has experienced an alarming increase in anti-Semitic statements and acts, with nearly a 400% rise in the 3-week period following October 7th, as compared with the same time period last year. Many of our children have siblings at universities where demonstrations are not only grieving the loss of life in Gaza, but or simply pro-Palestinian. They are decidedly anti-Israel and anti-Jewish. Students in our district who are Jewish know that people all over the world cheered and celebrated when hundreds of Jews just like them were attacked and killed in the most unspeakable ways. We know that the district does not condone terrorism or anti-Semitism or violence of any kind, but it would have helped our Jewish parents feel supported and reassured of their children's safety and well-being to have heard from our district leaders within short order. We know that the district strives to respect, celebrate, and affirm our wonderfully diverse community, but it would have reinforced these important aspirations if the district had used this terrible occasion to reassert its values and commitments. In closing, we'd like to offer some suggestions to move forward. My fellow Board of Trustee members, Jennifer and Frank, will share them with you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Manfrey. I'm also in the township. I'm happy to give my exact address later. You can check my file. Dr. Mucci, Board of Education, good evening. We are grateful for this opportunity to share our thoughts and concerns. We'd like to offer some suggestions, which we will also forward in an email in hopes of starting a dialogue with you. Number one, please consider reaching out to Jewish students through appropriate channels, especially at the high school and middle school, to see how they are faring and whether their social emotional needs are being met as they try to grasp what has happened. Number two, please consider reaching out to a group of Jewish parents, such as members of the boards of trustees of our two congregations, in order to delve more deeply into the focus areas you outline in the Times of Unrest document to understand how they relate to this specific event. Three, thank you for inviting Rabbi Michael Sachs and Rabbi Adam Gilman to speak to the high school social studies teachers. Please consider leveraging other experts to support the high school, such as faculty who teach Holocaust and genocide studies. Four, please consider expanding the No Place for Hate initiative at FMS to the high school as well. Five, please consider reviewing policy 5520 on disorder and demonstration and revise if necessary in preparation for potential requests for walkouts or protests at the high school. Number six, please consider adding specific training on anti-Semitism and Islamophobia for teachers and administrators as part of the district's commitment to culturally responsive practices. Seven, please consider expanding policy 5757 on anti-racism to more clearly encompass anti-Semitism as well. Eight, please share with us how the district evaluates the resources it recommends to teachers and families and ensures they aren't anti-Semitic. On such a divisive issue as this, we ourselves struggle to find appropriate sources. Nine, please maintain very careful oversight of and provide substantive guidance to teachers who may be discussing the terrorist attacks in Israel perpetrated by Hamas and the ongoing conflict in the Middle East. This is an exceedingly complex and nuanced issue with entrenched ideas on both sides, and it is important that no student be made to feel culturally alienated or ideologically attacked. We thank you for your leadership, your dedication to our children, and your caring and compassion at this difficult time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Samantha Rothman, Morris Township. I'll provide my address afterwards. Like many of you, I have served on a number of boards. I am a co-founder of Grow Green Morristown. I serve on the Township Board of Adjustment, so I really appreciate your service. I'm up here tonight as a proud graduate of Morristown High. My family moved here in 6th grade, specifically because we wanted to come somewhere. My parents thought it would be important to be somewhere with diversity. One of the things that I have always loved about Morristown and our school district is how we celebrate diversity. And that diversity is so all-encompassing. We have so many different people here with so many different stories. as a member of the community, I have always looked to the district as this beacon of light, that we are such an amazing district. We provide so much education and opportunity for our students. I waited. I thought for sure the school district would say something to my community, specifically my Jewish community, about what they were doing to provide for the needs of our students. But as a parent, a Jewish parent, I was getting information from where my kids had gone to camp, the program my son was at in Israel. Watch social media, take it away from your kids. Horrible images may be coming from Hamas. We know that Hamas used social media to film what they did. And so I reached out to the district saying, let all parents know this. No child should see these images, and yet still silence. To me, this issue about not saying anything has left me feeling like we are not seen, that even though white supremacists will come for Jews as readily as they will come for people of color, we are not seen as a minority. The world's population of Jewish people is 0.2%. And of that population, 8% of the world's Jews live here in New Jersey. And within 3 square miles, there are 4 synagogues here. This is a community with a lot of Jewish people, and we heard nothing. Do we not count? Does our pain not count? And, you know, I mean, yeah, my son was just in Israel, and we may not, you know, he may not wear a skull cap to school. And when I went to Morristown, did I have swastikas drawn on my desk? Yes. Did I have pennies thrown at me? Yes. Did I almost get suspended for hitting a kid in school because they called my friend a kike? Yes. But I don't tell people those stories. Instead, I say, I went to a public school. I graduated from Morristown High, and I was able to go on to an Ivy League school. I've always championed this district, and I was hoping you would champion us too. Thank you.
Thank you, Sue. Yes.
May I ask a question? I'm sorry, I'm new here. So, how does this work? Because I do have something to ask you.
So this is public comment, so if you have something that you want to say, you can come forward.
Name's Jennifer. I have 2 brown boys in your school right now. I
Can I
have
just put your mouth in?
Jennifer Ponder, Ponder, or Mrs. Hertzberg, whichever you prefer. I have 2 brown boys in your school system right now at 3rd grade at Sussex Ave. I spoke to Ms. Mucci, Dr. Mucci, about the whole situation with the book banning and Monster Liberty. I take it very seriously. As a Black person in this community, I should not have to worry about if somebody's going to come in here. Eventually it will happen, or if it has, I don't know yet. But if it does, I need to know that each one of you are going to say something to keep them from not teaching my history, her history, their history, whatever history that you decide you want to teach. Also, there is no excuse to be banning books. I grew up, I went to Marylawn, I went to Kent Place, and I graduated from Morristown Beard. I went to Johnson & Wales. I have a degree. I want my boys to expand their education in public school. I never went to public school, so I don't know the whole world, but I do read what's going on in other states with these women. These women who think that they know what they're doing. They don't. They're doing a lot of damage. I need to know that all of you are going to do something if they are here if they try to infiltrate our schools. Because all of our kids deserve to be able to read whatever they want. They deserve to be able to speak and learn and just grow. And if these ladies come in here, they're not gonna be able to do that. And that's what I'm fearful of. I wanna know my boys are gonna go through this district without any backlash of, oh, I read, this book. Oh, that's not good, no, I don't. I want them to read. I want them to learn. I want them to be awesome individuals. I want all these kids to be awesome individuals. But I don't want these, that is one thing that I'm really concerned about. So that's all I have to say. And so please, and I'm willing to speak to anybody else, and I just ask of you, if they do, or if they are, please fight for our kids, because they don't deserve it. And if you're not gonna fight for the kids, I will. Okay, thanks.
Okay, thank you. Sure.
Hi, I'm Emily Walper. I'd also like to share my address in private, and probably comes as no surprise that all of us would like to share our addresses in private. We're not feeling very safe right now. I feel really comfortable with the words that the other Jewish community members shared. I'm standing up to add my voice because I don't know that only hearing from three of us represents the volume of what I've been hearing for the last 3 weeks. 3 or 4 of us getting up does not show you the outcry that we are hearing in our circles. I'm on a list of over 20 parents that are chatting back and forth constantly in synagogue. It's been a conversation. I've talked to non-Jewish friends in the area who are connected to you guys very closely, who were frankly disgusted and disgraced. I just want to add my voice to represent that the 4 of us multiply that by in the 10s, 20s, 30s, 100s. We're uncomfortable. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Marla Hochfeld. And my address after Morris Township. And I also want to keep my voice. I had 2 children who have graduated from Morristown High School and have been very proud to live here for the last more than 20 years, and been so proud to be able to share how great it is being in Morristown, that it's so diverse and I thought inclusive, and was really, I still get emails, so I know what's going on in the high school. And to my shock, there's been no communication regarding what's been going on, just in terms of recognizing peace and love. And we share in all of that together. I know all the communities around Morristown have communicated to their communities, and more than once, recognizing that people are hurting, they're suffering, and it's not, and it isn't about who's right, who's wrong, or taking sides. It's about ethics and humanity, and I think Morristown should represent that and share that as well, without taking any sides and having any opinions, but to really recognize what's going on in the community, what's going on in the world, what's going on ex-Israel, and what's going on in the high schools, the universities. It's a very scary time for all of us, every one of us, to leave your house not knowing if you're going to get thrown in the train, if you're going to get stabbed, just because you happen to be Jewish. And I think all of us should be recognized for who we are as people. And I think that this community should really be part of that. Thank you.
Thanks, Mom.
Hi, good evening. My name is Ellen Anapol. I have 3 sons in the Morristown High School. I have a husband from Italy, so my children are half Jewish and half Italian. But they know their roots are Jewish. And what upsets me is everyone in this community knows that a lot of the Jewish people here, we contribute so much to this town. In so many ways, our temples do a lot of outreach. They do runs to support food banks. Our money is going into this community because we care about this community. And if you're Jewish and you live in this community, you chose it for diversity. I mean, I don't want to sound cliche, but there are Jews in Livingston. There are Jews in Short Hills. These are towns that are predominantly Jewish. But when you're a Jewish person and you come to live in this town, you came here for that diversity. And so for us to not get back what we bring to this community is why I think everyone here is so hurt. It's like, we want you for all the good you bring in, but when it gets a little bit difficult, we don't want to touch that. That's scary. It is scary. And so I think all of us came out tonight, which is why the room is so full, is because I have friends that have been trying to figure out how to fix this problem. And I'm not only here to support the Jews in this town, it's my friends who are the ones that are taking the time to really bring this to light. So I think all of us, we can't change what's going on. And I think it's just the acknowledgement that we are here in this town as part of that diversity. And if we're not welcome here, then maybe that's the case. But I think you're going to lose a lot of wonderful people if it's not welcoming for Hispanics and Blacks and everybody who belongs here, if that makes sense. We're a teeny little people.
Hi, I'm Judy Derringer, out of Morristown. I can give you the information, later, but I wasn't actually even originally gonna speak, but there's one gap that I wanted to go because I agree with everything everybody said. I also wanna look for our current student body and what they're gonna be, because college campuses are in upheaval right now. And your recent grads are in these schools, getting threatened, being put under lockdown, and it's from misinformation and misunderstanding that these people just finished high school. So while we wanna, I know that it is not in your control over the colleges, but you are feeding into schools, and so making sure that what you teach the whole student body in terms of understanding, and seeing all sides of things. I know my son in Frelinghuysen is watching CNN 10, and I don't know that it's always getting the full side of that. Not actually with the conversation that came up today, and his teacher is doing a good job of speaking and going back and forth, but I know that he is saying his fellow students are not seeing the Israel side in terms of self-defense. And CNN is very notorious for it. And so I know they want to present the news, but I can tell you it does not give a complete picture. And so I wanted to have you also think about what are you teaching these children and what are they going to bring to, so that it is safe for everybody and for the students who I think have come and been very successful with you. So, thank you.
My name is Dana Smith. I'll give my address later. Has been a resident of Morris Township for over 20 years, maybe 22 years now. Came from Madison. I have
children who are either at this school system or have just graduated, one of which is in Frelinghuysen right now, 14-year-old. I'll just add this one component that may not be realized. In response to being silent, one comment that I heard back was, well, it wasn't really something that happened here, so the threat isn't really here. One thing about being Jewish, it's not just a religion, it's a culture. And I don't know if the statistics are right, but approximately half of the Jewish population, which someone quoted 0.2%, resides in Israel. The other half is probably about the US. Every Jewish person knows someone in Israel. So it actually does impact people here. Half my family lives in Israel. My son who's at Frelinghuysen, his cousins are in Israel. So it really does impact individuals here too. It's not just in this foreign land. It really does impact us here. So this is Morristown's issue too.
Thank you. I don't want to close public comment too soon. Anyone's going to be not coming forward. So. I'm sure. Yeah.
Hi, everyone. My name is Daniel Michaels, resident of Morris Township, neighbor of Melissa's. Had 3 kids go through the school here, and I guess I've heard a lot of people say stuff about how they feel. I guess what I would like to offer is the extent that the township is having outsiders come in to speak about the topic. The history of Israel is so complex, and I don't know the extent to which the teachers, how they present that, but I love talking about the topic, and I would just love to have an opportunity to not to make a pro-Israel pitch, but to help understand more about the history. So I would just like to say, if the township ever allows people to come in, I would be so happy to conduct some kind of a conversation. But I have a daughter that was over in Israel to do a gap year, and needless to say, it got cut short. She had to leave Israel a couple of weeks ago. And I just in my lifetime never thought we would be here. And you know, each day I just listen to the news, and I even thought as I was walking into the building, I thought, I wonder if people know that there's going to be people from the temple here tonight. Like it feels really scary. And I've sort of been alarmed at my job, just how a lot of people are going about their lives and nothing is happening. And I know everyone's aware of it. And sometimes I think people are just it's so unpleasant, people don't want to address it. And it's not going away. And I just think the more our kids understand the complexity of this, the more people will make rational decisions, and their opinions will be informed, because there's a ton of misinformation now. So again, just would love to be part of anything that this school is doing to invite open, free discussion, not pro-Israel, not anti-Palestinian, but just deeper understanding. Thank you.
Thanks, Dan.
Hi, I'm Adam Smith, and I have to add on to that about how this isn't an issue in the past. Massacre happened on October 7th. It was 3 weeks, and maybe it's the end of the news cycle, or you hope that by being silent about it, it just goes away. But it's live every moment. I'm also guilty of watching 3 news tabs on my screens during the day, and having a half a mind and a world here, you know, regular job, family, school, all those things, and another half of the brain watching Israel. I have a WhatsApp feed with my brother-in-law who's in the north, you know, defending the north against another front. every day I pray for him and the whole state to, not get worse. But it's not going away anytime soon. And so I think, if we could just say, why is this different? Let the kids know, what happened, as objectively as possible without taking sides. If that's even a thing. Hard for me to understand who's the bad guys. Why is that even a discussion? But I don't want to get political. But to not ignore it. By ignoring the situation, I think it's almost complicit and saying it's okay for it to have occurred. Okay, and it's not. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. So, with that, we'll close public comment, and almost everyone that came forward is someone that I've known for many years. Many of you that didn't come forward, I feel like you're here for me. You're not here for me. You're here for your community, and those of you that know me well can imagine what my personal feelings are about this, and it's horrifying and saddening, the incredible loss of life that, we've all seen, in the past 3 weeks, and we're all, those of us that are here, that are the Board of Ed, do this because we love this community, and we love our kids. We love all of the kids. We don't just love our own kids. My daughter's not even in the district anymore. But I continue to do this because I love this community and I love all aspects of this community. When I moved back here as an older person, because I went to Morristown, I also, I came for the same reason that you're saying, Sam. And, I think collectively we feel your pain. This district stands against anti-Semitism, anti-Islamophobia, anti all forms of hatred. I know that Anne has put out some resources and she might have some things that she wants to say, but if we fell short, we're sorry. You're an important part of this community. And I just wanted to say that to you, and I appreciate you being here. Like I said, when you moved public comment forward, because you would have been sitting here for 2 more hours waiting to have these comments, and I didn't want you to have to do that. But the statements that you read, Nicole and Jen, I think you said there was something that you wanted to send to us, and I'm sure we would love to see it. I'm very visual. And with that, I'm just going to turn it over to Dr. Mitchie if you have anything you'd like to add.
Sure. Well, to begin, were there any other comments from other board members? Anybody who wants to add? Hello, I'm Vivian Rodriguez, and what I'd like to say to you is that under the tutelage of Dr. Joseph Krell from Kane University, from the Holocaust Resource Center, I taught a course on Holocaust and genocide for several years at Kane University as an adjunct professor. So I am well aware of the difference between this situation and other situations that happen to our community. So I want, for one, to say that to you, that to know that I am well informed. Dr. Krell was excellent tutor for me and mentor for my graduate program at Kane. So I want you to know that I am understanding and aware. Thank you.
I just wanted to take a moment to say thank you for coming. We hear you. And I wanted to announce that you are being heard, and to echo
Melissa's comments. If we have fallen short, I'm taking myself, it's just responsibility and sincerely and deeply sorry. But thank you for your time tonight.
I would echo the apologies, and certainly I think one of the things that happens in trying to get something right is the complicated matter of language and wanting to get it right. So I can understand how that comes across in sometimes a positive way, and other times feel that you're not seen or not heard. And so I think what I heard tonight that I feel so much hope in is how much everybody is committed to our students being safe and being heard. And if we can keep that in our community, which has always been our strength, then I know that this will be something that we all learn from, and that I hope that how that goes forward gives you increased confidence in how much we value your trust in what we do for our students. And thank you for voicing that, because that is the most important thing that we all stand up here to do, is make sure that our children are well taken care of. So thank you. So thank you to everyone that attended this evening so far. And as mentioned, we appreciate public comment always. Our primary concern is to make sure that all of our students are safe and well cared for. As I heard a thread through some of the comments where we took notes, it is important that we foster critical thinking skills, analytical skills in our students, that we're raising our children to be global citizens. What I appreciate most about the Morris School District community is the fact that we are comprised of individuals who are civic-minded, who are respectful in their discourse, and who are free to share ways that we can become better as a community. I appreciate the suggestions that were made this evening, specifically related to policies that we should consider, and also the outreach efforts that we can make. Of the 10 suggestions that were made this evening during public comment, there are a number of them that we have already instituted. We do appreciate getting the follow-up in writing, as we would like to continue our partnership to make sure that we can follow through on the other suggestions and have a strong and productive partnership. We will be responsive. We appreciate everything, but I think one of the things that was most telling this evening was an acknowledgement of being in a public meeting at a school system and individuals not feeling comfortable sharing their address on a public record. And I think hearing that really speaks to the way that several members of you came to the podium to share your ideas and your thoughts and your hopes for our school district. And I sincerely appreciate you sharing those messages and also sharing the way that you felt when delivering them. So understand that they've been heard. We also look forward to having that follow-up email, so that if there's anything we missed in taking notes, we can follow up with you personally. And in the next portion of our business meeting today, we're going to go through some presentations on student achievement. We'll need a couple of minutes just to adjust and get our presentation set up for this evening. We encourage you to stay and engage in those conversations and watch that presentation, but we'll also take a couple of minute break so that we can stretch and greet each other as neighbors while we shift to the next portion. So feel free to stay and to also chat with us as we get set for the next portion of the meeting.
Thanks for listening. Yeah. It's like 2 hours. I couldn't even. I just wanted to. You don't want to tell me that. It's off my tool, that's because I'm like, how to get it out. House later. Yeah. Guys, it was fine. I mean, even something, girl. The younger. Jake and Jake. Do you remember? Yeah. Yeah. I feel like I think, no, I think that. I went to the bus. Yeah. Okay.
Committee members, we're gonna be convened, because we have great presentations. Yeah. So we're gonna do the student report before we go to one of our presentations. So welcome.
Hi, my name is Isabella Mastro, and I'm the junior board representative. Unfortunately, I couldn't make it today, so I'm today giving the SGO and the student update. So for the SGO, which is the student government update, the major things that we've been working on is the homecoming dance and the homecoming week, which were both I thought were a really big success. So Spirit Week is what we had before homecoming week, and it definitely boosted school spirit. Something that the SGO members have been working really hard on. And both students and staff got to participate in events during the pep rally, which was another big hit with a lot of people at our school. The actual homecoming dance is another thing that SGO worked really hard on and was another really good success. And currently SGO is working on raising money for charities with fundraisers like No Shave November and the Holiday Gift Shop Drive. That's kind of like what we're working on now. And for the student update, overall the student environment is very positive. Homecoming week has definitely boosted school spirit among students, and we're excited for more school events. The football season has been a great success as the student section turnout for home games has been huge, especially because like the lights and stuff. I know a lot of people like that. Students are also getting involved in lots of clubs and activities, especially after our club carnival in September, and that definitely like created a lot of interest for the different clubs that our school has to offer. And lastly, many school sports are ending their seasons, but there's been a significant show of support from students as many teams enter state and county So yeah, I know a lot of sports are like coming to a close, but a lot of people have been going and showing supports for other teams as they enter the state and county tournaments. Like today, the girls soccer team did advance to the semifinals of the state. So
Thank you so much. So we're gonna go on to presentations. If you need to leave, feel free.
thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks so much. Thanks for.
Good evening. Thank you everyone for being here this evening. And we appreciate the conversation centering us on our values of our community. And the focus of tonight's presentation is on student achievement data throughout the district and also some new programs that we are beginning. I'd like to first give a little plug for Discover MHS. So last week we had the opportunity to go to Discover Morristown High School, which was an outstanding showcase of all of the wonderful programs that are available at the high school. We had our student clubs, as well as all of our academic associations showcase. And really the message that everyone came away from the evening with was no matter what your interests, no matter what you want to do, whether it be broadcasting, musical theater, multiple AP courses, STEM Academy, the path is here at Morristown High School. So we wanted to share that with the board so that they could see the presentations as well as the profile of Morristown High School that is sent to every college that our students apply to. I created a brief back and front paper because tonight we're asking the board to share the goals that we expect some discussion about and ask them for their approval. Generally, we look to goals in a couple of different areas. Obviously, we always have a student achievement goal. We have a goal that will focus on our school culture and climate. And then we have a goal that focuses on the social emotional learning and development of our students. On the front page of this, we asked the question, which some board members had and public often has, how do we measure these goals? We see them written on the board agenda. They look outstanding. Who couldn't agree with them? But what is their significance and how do we know if we've achieved those goals? So our first goal is always on increasing the rigor and making sure that every student has the most challenging curriculum possible available to them at all grade levels. Part of how we're focusing on that is by having action plans at each school that administrators will garner support for the implementation of district goals, and then for each building to drill down and think about what does this look like at Normandy Park or at Frelinghuysen or at the high school. And then we have all of this focus within our district for determining if we're meeting our benchmarks for success. And I never want to miss the opportunity to say that beyond our district doors, we have an entire Department of Education that's also looking inward. And the process of New Jersey CUSAC, which is the third item that I identified on the right-hand side, we have the State Department of Education will be coming into our district on multiple occasions to evaluate us in all areas, from how we manage our finances, how we maintain our facilities, most importantly, how we manage curriculum and instruction, and how we support the growth and development of all students in our district. That happens every 3 years, and this year is a year for CUSAC evaluation, and these members from the New Jersey Department of Education will be in district, visiting classrooms, surveying facilities, talking to administrators, students, and board members to make their determination if what we hold out to the public as our evaluation in each of these areas is upheld. Also, you see our district motion or district mission that we believe each student should ascend, and also that our students are guaranteed graduates equipped with lasting results of these benefits and confer to an individual future life experiences. That is our Morris School District advantage. So this year, we're committing to you that we would hope to see an 8% increase in the percentage of students in grades 3 to 5 who meet or exceed grade level expectations in math and language arts. We have been focusing on having our students come into school, the most basic component of learning. And while we enjoy a very high student attendance rate each day, we also realize that there are some students that are struggling following COVID to have consistent attendance and attend to school regularly. So we are focusing on those students who have been chronically absent and expect to see at least a 10% increase in, or excuse me, a 10% decrease in chronic absenteeism. And then because we believe each student will ascend, it's very important to us that we focus on our gifted and talented learners and that we ensure greater opportunities for gifted and talented cluster activities in mathematics and language arts, the development of our Quest program at the middle school, greater electives, and more ability for us to differentiate and provide enrichment activities both in school and outside of school. So by increasing the number of opportunities available for students, we hope at the elementary and middle school grades to really help students identify their areas of interest and strength so that we can develop those talents over time and also build out those skills. On the back of this, you will see how each building goal wants to get us to more gifted and talented learning opportunities, more student engagement and better attendance, and an increase in MJSLA scores. So on the left-hand side, you'll see building specific goals. And on the right-hand side, just a little bit more about the high school and trends that we've learned, which is following the pandemic, our high school student participation in AP exams decreased. There's a number of things that we have been doing to increase that participation, including being recognized by the College Board to have an AP African American Studies course pilot program added, and also for the high school faculty to develop what's called pre-college AP courses. So this pre-AP courses are for 9th, 10th, and 11th graders. We're starting this year looking at language arts. And the idea is by increasing the rigor, by developing more opportunities for students to engage with higher order thinking and college-focused curriculum, that they'll be well prepared for AP courses. So a little plug, we're behind on our freshman enrollment for AP exams. And right now, our hope is to tremendously increase the percentage of students taking AP exams. Tonight's the deadline. There will be a second opportunity of a few more days, but we are seeing that some of our freshmen who maybe might not be as familiar with the importance of taking the AP exams, that our registration for exams in May are not as high as we would like to have it. So we're on track, we're improving, but that's an area of continued focus for us. One of the things we also realize, because we often, look to the high school as a measure of the success of the district, is what makes a high school student successful. And it is those opportunities to build out and identify their strengths and have strong academic support in elementary and in middle school. So the next brief portion of our presentation tonight is going to be from two of our supervisors talking about a new model that we put in place in the district this year, where instead of all of our supervisors working from the high school and going to other schools in the district, our supervisors moved out their base to the elementary, to the middle school, and with new home bases became more equipped to engage in the elementary and middle school curriculum, to understand those connections, to best prepare those students for their experience in high school and future success. So before we go on to the next portion of the program, just kind of on this brief overview of how do we measure goals that sets up the presentation, just wanted to see if there were any questions from board members or comments before we move on to segment 2.
Thank you very much, Dr. Murphy, for this presentation together for us.
Thank you. Okay, so it's a real pleasure to introduce Mr. Michael Serra, who is our supervisor of mathematics K-12, and Ms. Kara Duma, who is our supervisor of language arts K-12. And Michael has been spending a lot of time at Alfred Vale and Sussex School. And Kara, I feel like we've carried you and pulled you to go everywhere, but you have also been stationed instead of just the high school, doing a lot of work, especially at Alexander Hamilton and Hillcrest. And both are here to talk to you about our new model of having our supervisors fully engaged in the K-12 experience. So welcome, Kara, welcome, Michael. Come on over. Okay.
Good evening, everybody. Like Dr. Mucci said, my name is Mike Serra. I'm the K-12 math supervisor, and this is Dr. Kara Duma. She's the K-12 ELA supervisor for the district.
Good evening, everyone. So we just wanted to start by going over what our roles were previously, so there's a better understanding of how we transitioned into this new role. So last year, you could see up here the number of teachers we supervised, 6 through 12 in our departments, and also our major responsibilities. But we were, as Dr. Mucci had said, we were stationed at the high school. That's where our offices were. So we were in title, right, supervisors, K-12, math and ELA, but the majority of our time was really spent at the middle and high school level. And when we first sat down with Dr. Mucci at the early spring, she had said, I remember your words, where you set your bag down every morning matters. And indeed, it does matter a great deal. And we're going to talk a little bit about that.
So under this new model, So under our new model, thank you, where we set our bags down every morning is different than it was last year. And what was, just to repeat, how there was a multitude of students within the high school and middle school, but there's also more administrative support. Whereas at the elementary schools, it's primarily the principal. And now with this new model, we have their supervisor support within the buildings on community levels, getting to know students from kindergarten all the way on up, getting to know the community members, the families, and just really witness the progression throughout the years. Actually, my first master's degree is in psychology, and I always value those increments of development. You can clearly see how valuable a lot of those things are, and then how they tie right into everything within this pamphlet.
And to start, an important part, and we always say this for teachers in the classroom as well, is that without the relationship, no learning is going to happen. And it's the same thing as far as looking at developmental milestones. I mean, to be able to be committed to 2 particular buildings, the sister schools, every single day, you get to know the kids. You're not just popping in and out. You're developing relationships with the kids and the teachers. And you know what is a typical kindergartner? What are they going through, social, emotionally? And to have that knowledge, K, 3, 5 is a typical, so you could see any sort of gaps that emerge and help to bridge and fill those gaps when you see that happen. Because then secondary would be the academic piece once they're comfortable and happy in their environment.
And of course, once we continue to nurture the social and emotional pieces and are mindful of that and work to support that, there are so many critical pieces of academic development as well. There's a prime time to help assist with enrichment within these programs, but it's also a time where research has continually shown that that is where post-pandemic learning loss has come. That is where crucial ages, third grade, fourth grade, fifth grade, pieces in kindergarten, where learning loss happens, especially in that third or fourth grade, where the academic gap is and spreads, so we can help to work to nurture that, identify specific areas of need, and work with the principals and teachers on those levels.
And then finally, we get to, right, the standards and the progression. Here you can see we are actually an intervention strategy. Our new roles were established for the purpose of tackling the gaps that we're seeing emerge, in particular at the third and fourth grade level, following post-pandemic, and also just recognizing the gaps, again, going back to, this is what a third grader should know in math and ELA. We need to get them here, where are they now, and to take steps back and to know what they're missing in third grade. We know what second grade looks like, what first grade looks like, so it's easier to fill in and bridge those gaps. And I'd like to just revisit one point. Change comes at the speed of trust. So we're circling back to the beginning of the presentation, where we're committed to these buildings, really getting to know and establish relationships with kids and teachers, because without that, we're not going to have any sort of deep conversations around teaching and learning. And MSD1 community, right? Everyone's familiar with that. And we have some just images of us having more opportunities than ever this year to really get to know teachers, and especially like in unique and different ways. Visiting Berwick Green for opening PD day, where we had the opportunity to sign up and volunteer. And I got to connect with teachers that I haven't talked to in years. This is Miss Wendy Chang. She is a second grade teacher at Hillcrest, and she was just celebrated last week at the Salute to Teachers. So I said, we have to get a picture for the meeting tonight. So she was more than happy to pose and honored to take the picture. And this is an activity we did, just building, reestablishing relationships. This is the FMS ELA department. Just getting to know each other again, and you can see our yarn that connects us all, keeps us together throughout the year.
Also with this, I also had the opportunity to have back to school night with board members as well at the elementary school, so that's been a nice fun addition to the different back to school nights on the different levels. It's a lot of fun. This is myself actually co-teaching with at Alfred Bell the days of the week, as we just kind of going by, greeting the students in the morning. It was a fun opportunity. Last Friday, I went down to Brookdale Community College for a very massive math convention. And that includes one of our middle school and high school teachers. So it was a very good theme partner day where we all shared different events we went to. So I actually spent a decent amount of time going to some of the elementary ones, as well as some older grade ones. And at the end, we shared that, and we'll continue to keep board members abreast on that visit. And then speaking of Salute the Teachers, this is another recipient. This is Ms. Jenny Salazar, who was another recipient of the Salute the Teachers. And that's me working with her on kindergarten math. We invite any board members or community members for any questions at this time. Thank you very much.
Good evening. Buenas noches. Dr. Mucci, Board President Viola, Vice President Coleman, esteemed members of the Board of Education, and our valued families. It is my pleasure to present to you this evening our spring 2023 state assessment results. So down one. The down one. There you go. First, NJGPA overview. As per statute, MHS 11th graders took the New Jersey graduation proficiency assessment in English language arts and mathematics in the spring. The assessment measures graduation readiness in both subjects and is aligned to standards students should have mastered by grade 10 ELA and Algebra 1 and Geometry standards. Students who do not meet the minimum requirement on either component are afforded the opportunity to retake each in the summer and in the fall. They may also meet a designated cut score from other competency tests like the ASVAB, the ACT, AccuPlacer, PSAT, and SAT. The third pathway is by meeting the criteria of the NJDOE, Department of Education, Portfolio Appeal for ELA and or math. Here's a comparison to the state of MSD's spring 2023 NJGPA results. 81% graduation ready in ELA, 19% not yet graduation ready in ELA, 58% graduation ready in math, 42% not yet graduation ready in math. Now turning to the spring 2023 New Jersey Student Learning Assessment. Here are some select notable achievements in grades 3 through 5 NJSLA. We have seen year-to-year increases in these grades and these components. Meeting or exceeding grade level expectations means passing in the eyes of the state. Some select notable achievements in grades 6 to 8 NJSLA and in grades 9 to 12, with a significant increase, I might add, in our Algebra 2 scores. Here's our spring 2023 NJSLA ELA percentages by grades. The more green, the better, by the way. As we turn to compare year-to-year NJSLA percentages, we should keep the following in mind for math. 12.2% of our grade 7 students participated in the Algebra 1 assessment in lieu of math 7. 39% of grade 8 students participated in the Algebra 1 assessment and 12.9% in the geometry assessment in lieu of math 8. So math 7 and math 8 outcomes are not representative of their respective grades. Also, the state does not include 11th or 12th graders in math results, as these are
considered retakes. Here's our spring NJSLA and spring 2023 NJSLA math percentages by grades. Here are year-to-year district comparisons in the last 2 years for both ELA and math grade 3. Grade 4. Grade 5. Grade 6. 7. Grade 8. And grade 9 ELA only. Here we feature Algebra 1 district and school 2-year comparisons. Here we have geometry. Recall that both FMS and MHS students take these math assessments. Algebra 2, featuring MHS students only. We now turn to 2-year comparisons for both ELA and math for our grades 3 to 5 schools, starting with Alexander Hamilton. Thomas Jefferson, Sussex Avenue, and Normandy Park. The following slides are year-to-year comparisons of NJSLA results by subgroups. These are percentages of students meeting or exceeding expectations. First, by race and ethnicity, elementary ELA. Elementary math. Middle school ELA. Middle school math. High school ELA. And high school math. Here are year-to-year comparisons showing percentages of meeting or exceeding expectations in ELA, comparing students who are economically disadvantaged with students who are non-economically disadvantaged across the grade bands. In math. Now, year-to-year comparisons showing percentages of meeting or exceeding expectations in ELA, comparing students who are receiving special education with students in general education across the grade bands. In math. Year-to-year comparisons showing percentages of meeting or exceeding expectations in ELA, comparing our multilingual, bilingual students with monolingual students across the grade bands. And in math. The following slide highlights some of the intervention strategies that we currently have in place. First addition of a math interventionist in the high school and a secondary math coordinator. An NJSLA results follow-up action plan for schools, highlighting the importance of being very transparent with our data reporting, with our results, and empowering teachers to improve our students' achievement through that very same data. We've applied for New Jersey Department of Ed's High Impact Tutoring Grant, which we have not heard back yet, either way. But this grant was specifically targeted to grades 3 and 4, because these are the grades that the state has identified with the greatest needs coming out of the pandemic. We are currently evaluating our K-2 ELA instructional resources. We are currently evaluating our K-5 social studies instructional resources. And in the social studies, one of our criteria is to seek resources that also support literacy. That K-2 ELA instructional resource is critical because these are, of course, the foundational grades. While these grades may not appear on any state achievement data per se, they do, in fact, feed into our grades 3 to 5. And success in this space means success for our students all the way up the grade bands. And again, the social studies piece with the literacy is a strong buffer for that success. We are evaluating our 6 to 8 math instructional resources and looking to find resources that are comprehensive and rigorous for our students in their ability to meet the needs and the rigor of the assessment. And as my colleagues, Carol and Mike just reported, we have also instituted this elementary principals and supervisor partnerships to ensure that eyes are always with our elementary grade for the number of reasons that they just highlighted. I'd be glad at this point to answer any questions our board members might have.
Carrie?
How do our numbers compare to pre-COVID? Are we down? Are we up?
So in general, all state numbers have dropped since COVID, since after COVID. And this is what we refer to as learning loss, and the effects of learning loss, unfinished learning, however you wanted to say it. But we are now experiencing a bounce back. So we're seeing our numbers in some of those slides that you just saw compared to year, especially from last year, we're seeing growth and improvement. I believe we have begun to turn the corner in that area, but you know, we need to remain laser focused on helping our students, you know, again, really go beyond that experience of learning loss and ensure that they have all the skill sets they need to achieve in the future grades.
So you came from another district and you have experience in other areas of New Jersey. How do you see Morristown coming, looking at our data? What are some of the overarching things that you're noticing that you improve on or not or celebrate?
Yes, and I would say this is not really atypical of Morristown, but you clearly see a difference between our students who are identified as economically disadvantaged and those who are not. So that is an area where I believe our education system should work to bridge that gap. We see significant differences in the subgroups as you've seen, and in this particular district, because our multilingual learners are one of the biggest subgroups. I see that clearly evident here than anywhere else I've seen. But again, I am also seeing a bounce back in scores and performances across for our students. I think the challenge is, and this is when we speak about equity and ensuring that all students have successes and all students have access to high quality, rigorous education, that we meet that demand for all of our students. And so you saw some of the slides and you see some of our real high flyer students with scores that are, you know, in many cases above not only state average, but in many of the other districts I've worked in or I've seen. But then you also see those students who are lagging behind, and our office focus is to ensure all our students get ahead.
How do we do comparisons against like districts? I saw the state number flash up there quick, but that's too big of a sample set. do we do the comparisons against like districts and how do we do?
So we certainly, plan to do those, comparisons. Just like we're doing our presentation now and making our data available to the public, our other like districts are doing the same. So it's a matter of timing, it's a matter of, waiting for their data to be publicized, and we are certainly going to take a very close look at those comparisons, and we hope to report back on those.
And my last question was really, why the big differences in math proficiency versus the ELA? I mean, it's just so obvious.
Yeah, very good question. We know that in math, ELA actually helps support math because now more than ever, a lot of the math questions are centered around reading. Your ability to read will help you get a leg up on your ability to meet the math needs. But that trend that you're referencing is actually quite visible across the state. We know that with COVID and learning loss, it was in math that students were most affected. So again, specifically grades 3 to 4, because we were babies during 2020, and in math is one area where we're seeing that effect greatly. Hence why one of our interventions is to strengthen our math instructional resources and instructional processes in our middle school grades as well.
Tell me about math in 7th grade, because that is just the one that I just can't comprehend.
Yeah, it's interesting because you see students in 6th grade, they're new to the school. There's a significant bump in the rigor in math. And then you see them, the data clearly shows them taking a step back in grade 7. They bounce back in grade 8 a bit, but it is that middle space that we really believe that alignment, a comprehensive approach can really help those students because it's the same teachers for the most part. It's obviously the same school. It's a lot of the same expectations, but that grade is significantly challenging. Also recall that many of those students are also taking the more rigorous and challenging courses. So some of that math 7 score that you're referring to also signals the students who should by all means be still way ahead, but they're the students who are not taking the more challenging and rigorous math.
And there were some things that were, I know, highlighted last year that were being done in those grades, with the blog, with the schedule, with other kinds of things, training for teachers and so forth. You don't need to comment on those, but I would really appreciate that you look at that and see what is working, what is not working with the supervisor.
Absolutely.
I guess as Vivian just said, I'm concerned about a couple of things. The steep drop off, and particularly in math from middle school to high school. I mean, it's significant drop off in math. And then as you look at the economic versus non-economically disadvantaged, in math, they both drop off a steep cliff, but the economic disadvantage goes down to single digits. And so I will always feel we seem to do a really remarkable job of our high achievers, and we focus a lot on our high achievers. But statistically, the number of people who are high achievers going on to college is going to be small versus having just searchable skills for life, a life proficiency in reading and mathematics. And I just feel that this data keeps saying is our focus becomes on our high achievers, and we're still losing the gap here. And now this is just test scores. There's a lot of economic disadvantage that brings into the test score results. Half of these kids are saying, will I have a coat for the winter? Will I have food? Et cetera, et cetera. And so, the public school system has to be all things to all people. And I just really feel that, and I know this is kind of to address it, but this is really acute to me that, it's something that our parents talk about What happens when you're at the lower and the middle end of the district? And it doesn't sound like we talk about that enough.
Absolutely, well said, Mr. Smith, and we are here for all our students, right? Economically advantaged or, economically disadvantaged students. I think one of the key pieces, to your point, of course, is being in school, attending. And as Dr. Nucci just referenced a few minutes ago, our new attendance policy is aimed at doing just that. It makes not a whole lot of difference if we improve instruction, we increase rigor, but our students are not there in school. But we do understand that there are a lot of competing factors that may keep them after school. But, you know, with these changes in policy, I'm also seeing really a greater participation. And once we have them in school, we can care to their whole child needs. We can seek ways that we can support them by extended day and extended learning opportunities. And those are two key ways that we can begin to bridge that gap and ensure that all our students feel safe, feel that this is their home, that this is a place that they can achieve, that they can flaunt their talent and their abilities, and really compete with all our students at every level, and no matter what demographic.
I think that's fair, and I think the last presentation, I think, is a good start. You know, I remember when I was a child and I have a sophomore, you know, one of the things that always worries me is, are the teachers turning on the light for the students? And are they unleashing potential in those young people early on and saying, I think you can do it? And it's the experiential learning versus the actual classroom learning as well. And Dr. Boothby, I know you talked about that, but that's the piece that I see sometimes as the gap. I feel, based on the anecdotal information, that there's a disconnect between the child and the educator. And becomes a drudgery versus someone is unleashing my potential for learning and loving and the love of learning. And it happens early, and I think the last presentation was about that, but then something gets lost. Something gets lost because then it's a drudgery. And I think we have to think about that connection to the young people. Great. Thank you.
Anyone else?
I guess I'll just make one other comment, they could probably done before. I agree, we need to address the chronic absences. Is 10% improvement enough? I mean, should we be pushing for more than just 10%? Maybe we need to just figure it out and then expand upon it next school year to decrease it. But I don't know if 20 kids or if that.
Because I think we were at 90, I think that's what I was saying, 10.
Was
Yeah, I think
okay.
that's,
So getting 10 kids that are there.
no, 90%.
Or maybe like looking at the disadvantaged, the economically disadvantaged students and looking at what percentage they're coming in, you know, compared to the rest. So that you could extrapolate that, just like you just told us, that the math, we have to think that they're all taking algebra, right? So that affects that 7th grade. Well, let's look at percentages of attendance for the subgroups that are the most impacted. And let's put some efforts, extra efforts in there.
Yeah, I think they actually did that, and I think that's one of the reasons why we've added busing to so many students who are economically disadvantaged. Right, Linda? Because the correlation between disadvantaged and not being bused. So it all ties together.
Nearly all of our elementary students are bused now.
Yeah.
Great.
Well, thank you.
Thanks,
And
Marcos.
I would like to actually turn it over to our new school principal, who will actually speak to one of these strategies in that space that he has been implementing, specifically aimed at the tier 1 for instruction, which is critical so that we do not need other forms of intervention for our students.
Thank you, Mr. Vargas, and thank you to the board for giving me the opportunity to speak about our efforts efforts at Frelinghuysen this year. And one of our strategic actions this year to improve learning outcomes for all students at Frelinghuysen in the critical middle school years, and at the same time, close some of those very stubborn and post-pandemic growing gaps that you saw between the subgroups, is to really pool our collective energy and attention and put it on our in-class support classrooms at FMS. And when I talk about in-class support classrooms, what I'm referring to are sections in which there are 2 certified teachers. One certified teacher in the content area, and a second certified teacher who's certified in teachers of students with disabilities, and very often the content area as well. And what makes that setting unique is that both teachers are responsible for the teaching and learning of all students in that classroom space. Now at Frelinghuysen, if we look across the 3 grade levels, we have 65 in-class support sections in math, social studies, science, and language arts. So really all students are touched by the in-class support classroom. And what we're really focused on this year is integrating the best models of instruction in the in-class support setting in order to, number one, optimize the 2 certified educators that are in those classrooms to best meet the needs of the wide range of learners sitting in those classrooms. The 6 in-class support instructional models that are up there right now, which I will briefly touch upon, really accomplish 2 things. Number one, they decrease the teacher to student ratio in those classrooms. And number 2, they increase the opportunity of every student in those classrooms to respond and share their thinking more frequently, and also to receive more frequent feedback from the teachers. So that's really why we're so heavily invested this year in Frelinghuysen in integrating the best instructional models for the in-class support classrooms. When we look at them, there are 6 that are often written about, and there's been a lot of research on. The first is the most traditional, which I would argue is one that we want to see less of, and it's the one teach, one assist model. Typically, whole class instruction, one of the teachers leading it, a second teacher supporting students as the one teacher leads whole class instruction. Second model is team teaching. Again, I would argue not the most efficient. Both teachers are leading the whole class instructional lesson, often playing off one another and sharing instructional responsibilities. One teach, one observe. Now we're getting into what I would say are some of the really more effective strategies or models we want to see. In this model, you still have one teacher leading whole class instruction. The second teacher is intentionally collecting data on formative data on students on something they've agreed upon prior to the lesson. It could be instructional learning data on the student's progress towards the objective, could be behavior data, and that's what the second person's doing. Here's where we're really leaning into these models though at Frelinghuysen, where we feel we get the most effective use of 2 certified instructors in the classroom. In alternative teaching, you have one teacher leading a larger group on one aspect of the lesson, and you have a second teacher, and it can be either pulling a small group, could be to pre-teach, to reteach, to have more small group guided practice, really optimizing 2 teachers. In parallel teaching, another one we really want to see, and we're going to be measuring implementation of in our classrooms through walkthroughs. Now we're going to reduce that teacher to student ratio by dividing the class in half, and we're going to teach the same content. We may teach it a different way, but again, we're providing students with more opportunities to interact with the teacher, share their thinking, and get feedback. And then finally, something that we see, I just saw very effectively used at Frelinghuysen on Friday, and something we'll be doing PD on November 17th for our teachers station teaching. Here we'll have the 2 instructors running small groups on 2 different topics. They're teacher-led. while a third group of student is doing something independently or as a small group. So again, really effective in that we're optimizing both teachers and we're accomplishing those goals of reducing the teacher to student ratio and increasing feedback to students and opportunities for them to be engaged by sharing their thinking. And really, we believe strongly at FMS that if we pool our collective attention and energy in implementing these strategies at a high level, in our in-class support classrooms, again, we will increase achievement for all students while we at the same time close those gaps that we were all looking at when we were looking at the achievement data. If there are any questions, I'd very much like to provide you with an opportunity to.
I have just an observation.
Sure.
Can you hear me? It doesn't look like it's on. In any case, I wanted to know if the size of class matters. You are showing circles showing the students, and I see that probably the maximum is 16, and then it goes down from there for some of these models. Is there a correlation between the success of the model you're using and the number of students that the teachers and co-teachers address?
What I would contend is that the size of the class is even another reason why those three strategies I spoke about are so important for us if we want to improve learning for all students. Because what we're doing, especially with the alternate teaching, the parallel teaching, and the station teaching, is we're reducing the teacher to student ratio and increasing, as I said, opportunities for students to share thinking and get feedback. What I will say is the size of the class makes it more complex. So a station teaching lesson with a class of 24 may involve a couple of other independent stations and not just three. Like I saw in an 8th grade ELA class this past Friday that I observed. But I would say while it makes it more complex, at the same time, it also, in my strong belief, makes it more incumbent upon us to do it.
Could you just share a little bit about how these teachers, sort of what opportunities they have for planning to be able to use the data? And I'm imagining this is all wonderful, but how they get to work together to strategize how they're best engaged.
Sure, and this was part of our presentation at FMS on this. We are so fortunate at FMS in that our teachers share common planning time, a common prep period of 40 minutes every single day, and they meet as a grade level professional learning community. So let's say 6th grade language arts, another 2 times a week for 40 minutes. So a huge obstacle to doing this effectively in many schools is you need time to sit down and plan that out. We are so fortunate in that is less of an obstacle. Time will always be an obstacle for teachers. There's never enough for them to do the type of planning they need to reach all students, but I would contend it's less of an obstacle at Frelinghuysen as it is at other schools that I'm very familiar with.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Yoon.
Thank you so much. And I'm gonna hand it over to Dr. Pinto Gomez.
So we have here our DLM scores. DLM is an alternate state assessment for our students with IEPs. So we're very proud that all of our 8th graders have met, our 11th graders met their target. We see that the yellow on the far right. So we're very proud of our 11th graders, and we know that it's not always easy. DLM goes according to our students' IEPs and their needs. We're going to go into the access for our L's at this time. So we're going to see 2 different scores, our access that most of our L's take, and then the alternate access, which is for our L's that have IEPs as well. So this is our first slide, which compares our K through 5. You can see that in kindergarten, most of our, multilingual learners are still, at number 1. What we want to see is growth, really approaching 3, 4s, and 5s. So we're happy to say that you can see that as they enter first, second, third grade, you see more 3, 4s, and 5s. You need a 4.5 in order to be exited from the bilingual program. So we did see the most growth in our 4th and 5th grades and the most students that exited this year. This is just a comparison to show you 2022 and 2023. Once again, we're very proud of our 4th and 5th grade. They had the most students exit the program and go on to ESL only or full monolingual classes. This is our access for 6th through 12th grade. See progression here with our students going into the 3s and 4s. In 9th grade, you can see we have the most students take the state exam because that is where we are experiencing most of our new entrants. Right, so between 9th and 10th grade, that's why you see such large numbers here. And then we had quite a few students exit in our 11th and 12th grade program as well. Backward. This is a comparison once again with the 2022-2023 school years from 6th to 12th grade. Here we saw the most growth in our 7th grade and 11th grade for exiting the program. And this is our alternate access. So these are the students with IEPs that took the access. So we did not have too many, but we're very proud of their growth as well. Any questions? Any questions for me on DLM or access?
What sort of goal is appropriate for the number of students that are exiting out? I mean, it looks like it's maybe less than 10%.
It is.
What's a reasonable goal after 3 or 4 years?
Well, it depends when they enter, so we have to look at how many years they've been in the program. A reasonable expectation is to have our students exit within 3 or 4 years of the program. But it depends on when they're entering. So some of these scores that you see, the kids are with us 6 months, maybe 7 months, because they have to take it no matter when they enter our school district. So a student may enter in February and they'll sit for the test in March. So that's important to see that as well. We saw 71 students exit the program last year. Roughly 9%.
But it's the numbers we saw across the top at each grade level, that's the total number of students in the program.
Correct, in that grade level.
Chris, anyone else about that?
Any other questions? Thanks, Anna.
Thank you.
Yes, so, next meeting. So that was the portion of our presentation on student achievement data that we mandatorily report out and discuss. Want to let you know that we'll have that full slide deck available online along with all of our email addresses. So that if you have any questions when you actually get a chance to sit down and look at the handouts, you can reach out to us. I'd like to thank Ms. Duma, Mr. Sarah for their presentation, and also Mr. Yu for giving us that strong insight into what our FMS classes look like, and Mr. Vargas for bringing the presentation together. Now we're going to shift gears back into the second portion of the presentation tonight, which is more about school culture and climate, and also reporting out what we're observing about student behavior in each of our schools. And I'm sorry, I forgot to also thank Dr. Pinto Gomez, our Assistant Superintendent for Bilingual and Special Education, for reporting out the last portion of student achievement data. So thank you everyone for that. And now, Ms. Engel,
Thank you.
We'll do the EBVRS reporting.
So tonight, I'm gonna go over the second semester violence and vandalism report from last year. We've already seen it. I did it when we did the HIB report card, so the same information, but also wanted to share, as we reflected over the summer, we took a look at the data, what we've seen. So this is not new information. We saw this, I think, June, July time period. These are comparisons longitudinally of how our second semester has been over the past, almost 8 or 9 years. The definitions of violence and vandalism are along the top there. And then I've done a comparison like you saw, back in June, July, the same data for the full year. So I will report in again to you in January for what our first semester looked like. This is our official report for this school year. We also looked at the HIB data from last year. We had 80 incidents that were reported, 33 were confirmed to be HIB. You can see, as we talked about a few months ago, who they were reported by. It's good to see that there's lots of different folks that feel comfortable reporting, and especially that we're seeing our students report into us. Of the 33 that were confirmed, you can see the locations where they occurred, bus, classroom, online, within the school building, lunch and recess. And then we broke down our confirmed hits into what the perceived or actual characteristics were. So we were seeing some trends across race, gender, and gender identity, comments about appearance, some perceived weaknesses in terms of social status, disability, and then there were 6 that were really kind of across the board in terms of other. There were a lot of supports and remediations that we continue to put in place for our students. We do student meetings, reflections, restorative conferences, sessions if the students are both interested in doing that. Sometimes we're referring our students for counseling. There's push-in classroom SEL lessons that occur. We continue to check in with our students, and we want to help them build their social emotional skills. It's an incident and a point in time, and we see this as an opportunity for growth and learning for our children. So I wanted to talk about some of the things that we're doing this year related to HIV and anti-bullying as a reflection. We did our annual PD for all of our principals and our anti-bullying specialists on the HIB law. We had cyberbullying and harassment education assemblies led at the middle school and the high school by our prosecutor's office, and Deirdre's house, I think, as well as part of that assembly. They also did a parent program. We annually train all of our students and staff on the HIB policies and procedures. And we annually train our coaches and PE staff on HIB and athletics, which is coming up in November. We also we have our school safety and climate team meetings that happen at the school level to review data. One to share, and it's on our website, I'll have it on the next page. All of our HIB contacts by school are available on the district site and each school site in the footer. I've also indicated which of these folks speak Spanish as well for our folks in the community that need that support. We revamped our webpage, so if you were to go onto the HIB from our district site, you can see my information's on there, the anti-bullying specialist information. There's a state school climate state coordinator that families can reach out to if they have any questions. Links to our HIB policy, our grades reports, and how to report anonymously or named through our online HIBster program if that's a vehicle somebody wants to use. So what are the things that we're doing this year to make sure that we're having our students start out with a really great start? So we're continuing from a mental health and wellness perspective, restorative practices. We run friendships groups and social skills groups at our schools. We are so grateful to have our social work intern program that now covers K-12. They do a great job. I work with their coordinator at targeting different areas where we want them to kind of push into class. I'm so maybe do some one-on-one support for students. They also just issued the SEL parent newsletter. So at I should have said K-5, you may have seen that if you're a parent of an elementary student come through from the principals. We continue to have our mindful moments and our yoga for classrooms. And our counselors are pushing into classrooms, preschool 8 on various topics related to social skills, SEL, understanding your feelings, mindfulness. The high school staff will be having training next week on mental health first aid. It's a skills-based training course that our teachers will learn about mental health and substance abuse issues, and there will also be a parent night. So if you haven't seen that kind of come through, that's going to be on November 7th at 7 o'clock for the MEF is sponsoring for us. So we're really excited for that initiative at the high school.
And then No Place for Hate is going to be launched, or has been launched actually, at the middle school. So I know Joe's included a lot of his newsletters looking for any families that are interested in participating. I think, Berto said she's met with students already and had some really great meetings, because this is really a lot of student run in terms of the program. So more to come on No Place for Hate. And then finally, continuing on our inclusive communities and our sense of belonging, we still have our Excel at FMS. We do community circles. I was in a kindergarten class the other day and they were doing roses, buds, and thorns. And to see a group of 25 or 20, kindergarten students actively listening and engaged with their heart to each other about kind of what their roses and their thorns were, was really something to see, and really a nice skill set for the kids to have to start out. We've got positive behavioral interventions and supports at our schools. As we've talked about, we want to make sure our kids are involved through after school activities and sports. You might hear bucket fillers from some of the K-2 kids, positive referrals at some of our schools you hear. So we're catching somebody doing something good, not catching them something bad. We want to reinforce the good behaviors. Our near peer mentoring, and you often hear Abby Osorio talk about the work that they're doing in terms of story time and pushing into our younger classrooms, and then really continue to engage in center our student voice. So sorry, we've had a lot of presentation. Just want to see if you have any other questions.
Any questions for Deb?
I'll come back again in January.
Yeah, thank you so much, Deb.
Thanks, Deb. Thanks, Deb.
So, some of the things I was going to share, I already shared, but one of the things I did want to mention for the board, last week, or the week before, because I'm in town working now, Linda and I were able to attend the tribute to teachers. Last week. Oh my gosh, it's a time. Yeah, was that Monday?
Yes.
And it was really a lovely event. I feel like the teachers that were honored felt really good about it, but it also seemed like the teachers who were just there to see their fellow teachers seemed really thrilled. So that was just a great thing that I felt lucky to be able to be part of, and I know you all would love to have been there, so I just wanted to share that with you. And now we're going to go over to committee reports. We already had our student report. Susan, would you like to give us an update on curriculum?
Sure. See, the curriculum committee met on October 18th. We had a productive meeting covering an extensive agenda and approved the following items: the September 13th meeting minutes, the Morris School District Professional Development Plan, Spanish translators for the 2023-24 school year, which includes a team of 5 teachers, 2 from Morristown High School, 2 from Freelandheisen, and 1 for the pre-K through 5th grade. The translation is needed for school and district forms, for parent nights, and informational notices for the community. This is locally funded. A comprehensive list of district field trips for our K-12 students throughout the school year was approved. Please note that additional field trips may come up for approval in the coming months. Students to science programs and labs were also approved. The Students to Science team will work with students and teachers to participate in biotechnology lab activities, including biotech experiments for grades 9 through 12, STEM career research programs, such as Biotech Career Day for grades 10 through 12, and lab internships for our grades 11 and 12 STEM students, as well as virtual classroom laboratory activities for grades 5 through 8. These activities and programs take place both outside the district and in district, in which scientists push into classrooms and may also take part in our grades K through 5 STEM days. Thank you to Gilead, Sciences in Morris Plains for their generosity in providing $61,250 in grant funding for this. The Morris School District Ski Program was also approved. This program runs through the community school and will allow Freelandheisen Middle School and Morristown High School students access to ski trips at Shawnee Mountain in Pennsylvania. These ski trips will take place after school during the months of January and February. Program costs are covered by collected participant tuition. The committee also approved the Novice Teacher Coaching Initiative at Alexander Hamilton School. The consulting firm Elevate Educators will provide job-embedded coaching to our novice teachers at Alexander Hamilton School. Elevate Educators was utilized last year in the district for after-school mentoring. This coaching will be broken down into 15 half-day visits across 3 months. The job-embedded coaching model includes goal setting, informal observations of teachers, debriefs, and modeling as necessary. It would be for 7 teachers, 3 third grade, 2 fourth grade, and 2 fifth grade, including 1 special education teacher. This program will serve as a pilot for future consideration and will be funded by Title II. This is currently pending while in review by the business office. Our final approval is for the SOAR 5th grade tutoring program, which helps 5th grade students and their families achieve success in educational support, mentoring, and enrichment opportunities through various community partnerships. The tutoring site will be at the Valley National Bank in Morristown. Our students will work with college students and teachers to identify areas requiring enrichment and work collaboratively to strengthen those areas. Since about 95% of parents do not speak fluent English, sessions are done with a bilingual facilitator. Despite a delay due to challenges in recruiting students, I'm happy to report that is now on track to begin in early November. Please be advised that you will see a new motion on tonight's agenda to approve the Sunset Program at Lafayette Learning Center. This came up after our curriculum meeting, but with board approval tonight, effective November 1st, 2023, the community school will open a Sunset Program at LLC from school dismissal until 5:30 p.m. Days of operation will follow the school calendar. The committee welcomed Dr. Diana Pinto Gomez, Assistant Superintendent of Pupil Services and Bilingual Education, to our meeting. Dr. Pinto Gomez presented a new 3-year bilingual plan. Every 3 years, school districts must submit a plan describing their district's program for English language learners. The plan is an opportunity for educators to review the academic needs of their ELL students and the type of program to best address those needs. Our current 3-year bilingual plan is active in its last year and on record with the Department of Education. This new plan is a work in progress and will be revised and updated throughout the school year. It should be ready for board approval this summer. The committee also welcomed Brian Young, Supervisor of Science and STEM, who presented information on both the Students to Science program that I highlighted earlier, as well as the new Morristown High School STEM Academy informational packet and application. Mr. Young shared that this information will be sent out to sending school districts, blasted on social media, and shared throughout Morris School District. Marcos Vargas, Assistant Superintendent of Curriculum and Instruction, presented a working draft of the 2023-24 district-wide professional development offerings for the upcoming in-service Professional Development Day on November 7th. Mr. Vargas also discussed the launch of the Gale in Context for Educators rollout and how it supports teaching planning around state mandates and beyond. Gale in Context for Educators merges quality standards aligned material with ready-to-use lesson plans across a variety of disciplines and other instructional tools to help teachers achieve their professional goals. First launch training will be virtual on the November 7th Professional Development Day for 6 through 12 BLA, social studies, and science teachers. Additionally, Mr. Vargas updated the committee on the latest developments around the delayed state BOE adoption of the new 2023 New Jersey Student Learning Standards in ELA and math. He also provided a status update on our high impact tutoring grant application, including the state's delay in reviewing such applications. Mr. Vargas informed the committee that the Everett Lighthouse pilot program was picked up by the 4th and 5th grade teachers at Normandy Park School, who are excited to get started. The goal of the program is to improve writing instruction and it will begin around the end of November, beginning of December. You may recall that Everett by Nucella is a Chrome extension for Google Docs. It's like Grammarly, but it focuses on helping students improve their written argumentation and literary analysis skills. Students use Everett to request and receive rubric or line feedback on their short response writing in Google Docs anytime they want. This was originally discussed at our August 23rd meeting. At that time, it was considered for 7th grade at FMS, but is now shifted to the younger grades, and I'm pleased that it will now be piloted in Normandy Park's 4th and 5th grade classes. It should also be noted that the SOAR College Access Program that was originally on the curriculum agenda has been tabled for the moment. Tutors and mentors in the program would assist students with essay writing, the college application process, and completing financial aid applications, and they must go through an onboarding process. Additionally, a certified teacher must be secured to supervise this at Morristown High School during lunch. Some tutors might be out of state for virtual sessions. The district has asked for more clarity before bringing it back to the committee. You may have also noticed in the curriculum minutes that the committee did not have a chance to review the state testing data presentation at our meeting due to some slides needing adjustment, as well as new graphs being developed. The final slide deck was shared with the entire board after the meeting. I would like to thank Mr. Vargas and his team for all of their hard work in putting this very comprehensive and thorough presentation together for this evening. As you can see, it was a power-packed agenda, to quote our fellow board member, Linda Murphy. Thank you once again to Dr. Pinto Gomez, Mr. Young, for joining us, as well as Dr. Mucci and Mr. Vargas for their insights and informative discussions. I look forward to the next meeting on November 15th.
Thank you, Susan. Linda, would you like to give us a finance update?
I certainly would. We met on the 23rd of October. And the first thing I'd like to start with is something that didn't get discussed in our committee meeting, but is on the board agenda this evening. Motion 12 under Education Matters has us accepting $305,000 for New Jersey High Impact Tutoring Grant. So we actually.
It's a submission, we're not
It's the, oh, for the submission, not the acceptance. Okay. Oh, wow. Darn. It's half the. Anyway, $305,000 is not an insignificant number, so I'm very happy to report that. And now to more mundane matters. We have a lot of work to do with our grants that we receive. So final reports on the following grants have been submitted: the ESEA, which covers Title 1 through 4, the IDEA grant, the ARP grant, the ESSER 2 grant, and there's a non-public completion report. So all of these have to be updated to show how we actually spend the money. And once the final reports for ESEA and IDEA are approved, there'll be a board motion to accept the carryover monies and amend our 23-24 draft payments. So thanks to the hard work of the finance folks, they keep us honest on all these grants, and it's a wonderful thing. Also on the agenda this evening, under business matters, motion 22, there's a list of fixed assets that are being presented for disposal. These are items that are either outdated or inoperable. Some includes various furniture from the schools and a few other miscellaneous items, some of which will be posted for sale on GovDeals or perhaps just on the track. We have a very long list of donations on the agenda tonight for acceptance. Motions under business matters, motions 6 through 11. One is from Miss Eileen Wolf for $1,000 for the Freeland-Heisen boys soccer team. There's a grant for $1,100 to Woodland School from the F.F. Kirby Foundation, which goes for the cost of assemblies. $6,000 from the Lauren and Emily Fela Foundation, which is a residency grant for Alexander Hamilton. And these funds will cover the entire cost of a Pages for Players junior residency with the Shakespeare Theater of New Jersey through Morris Arts. Then we have another one for our Morris County Clean Communities that funded an Earth Science Day Curriculum and Sustainability Assembly Program for Alexander Hamilton. And then another motion for Cho's Legacy, $1,300, and this is for a Taekwondo Kickathon, which sounds like a lot of fun. And last but not least, a new bench in memory of former student Miles Wislotsky, is that what I'm saying? From the family, there'll be a plaque reading Miles of Smiles and, class of 2013. The family also sponsors a scholarship through MEF, which you should be aware of as well. This is the time when we're getting involved in audit updates. The auditors are reviewing their field work and found a few minor exceptions for internal control testing. We don't know at this time if the exceptions are going to be included in the audit as a finding, but more to follow on that. And we also have an approval for the 24-25 budget calendar. So the work is starting now. It actually started on October 15th. And it will run through, the budget development will run through the public hearing, which is scheduled for April 29th. So it requires a lot of hard work, all bottom up. Every department, every school will provide their input and we'll end up with our new budget. Capital project update, the turf lights is awaiting a final punch list, but as you've seen, the scoreboard of the turf lights are a big success. Everybody's loving that. The final contract total came in just a little over $1.3 million, but there was actually a refund coming back to us for about $9,000 that wasn't expended. The woodland renovation on the roof is no update on that. Stonework that's underway should be completed over a weekend pending weather. There's no update on the HVAC at Woodland or the windows and unit ventilators because those are going into next year for completion. For the Alexander Hamilton parking lot, this is a subject of discussion for several of their last meetings. The principal, Mr. Cisneros, has reviewed the need for additional parking. And due to a change in programs at Alexander Hamilton, they do not have as much need for visitor parking. So there's approximately 5 vacant spots there on a daily basis. Given that, we are not going to proceed with replacing the grass for additional parking. We'll remediate the soil as is required. And the filings will be completed by the architect and held in the event that we need them at some point in the future. The rod grants, again, we're waiting for approval on those. We don't have any notification of which projects were approved and for how much money. And at this point, given where we are with the budgeting and the capital planning, we may need to have these things scheduled in the summer of 2025. So we might be having to push these things out due to lack of information. From a long-range planning standpoint, proposed projects include fire alarms at Dale and Harmony Park, elevator replacement at FMS, some HVAC replacement for Morristown Bandroom and room 112, and some electronic upgrades at the high school for the 3rd floor to accommodate AC window units. Anyone who's been teaching on the 4th floor recently knows it gets awfully darn hot up there for instructors and students, so this is a way to provide some relief and interim relief, hopefully temporary. Anyway, we'll be working with the architect over the next couple of weeks to review the scope of work and get some cost estimates for those purposes. A comprehensive maintenance plan has been, will be filed with the county office. And I printed it out so you can see how pretty it is. It's all very colorful. The form reports on a 10-year historical spend on maintenance and repairs for our school buildings, calculates the minimum amount the district is required to budget, and shows what we anticipate spending. So annually, we invest about $2 million in repairs and maintenance in our facilities. The state minimum target is only $257,000. So we are very good at keeping our facilities refreshed and ready for our students to learn. I think this is probably posted for public consumption if you'd like to look at the detail on that report. And then we already mentioned the CUSAC. So we've completed the DPRs needed for submission. That's on that's under policy motion 5 on the agenda. And there'll be a motion to approve the submission at the next board meeting. We have some, new joint transportation agreements, motion 17, 24, and 25. So we'll be providing some transportation support for children on the Green, Harding Township, and Sisters of Charity at St. Elizabeth's. And major kudos to Greg Sumsky for all the hard work he does in our transportation department. We also have a motion 16, which will approve our hazardous routes for this year. A route can be considered hazardous if it has even one stop on the route that fits the criteria. In the agenda, there's a list of the criteria that we look at, so you can take a look at those. Mr. Sumsky has reached out to JPC&L to create a presentation for our drivers on the proper safety protocols in the event of live wire, God forbid, falls on our school bus. And that's scheduled to take place on November 7th. Bus to the Bus, one of our favorite bus names, is beginning presentations at Alexander Hamilton, Alfred Vale, and that'll be happening this week. The presentations are both in Spanish and English for our students. The long-awaited hydraulic lifts have arrived and are being utilized by mechanics for our buses so they can actually raise up and work underneath with us. And we can do more in-house repairs as a result, which is a cost-saving matter for us. And then there's a report, a district report for transported resident students due by the 15th. It captures all transported in-district and out-of-district students, as well as students attending non-public schools who receive aid in lieu. So that report is going to be approved, I guess, on our next report, right? It's due by the 15th. We have a food service monthly update. It's on for approval, motion 14. It's called biosecurity, but really the only change to that report is some updated contact information. So it's standard thing that's done on an annual basis, so there's no major changes involved. Our next finance committee is November 14th. And I'm guessing we're going to be talking about budgets.
Thanks, Linda. Katie, would you like to give us an HR update?
Yes, so in addition to anything covered in executive session, just the drawing, well, we talked about that as well, the annual approval of the organizational chart, some approving of student teachers and social worker interns. Of note in the abolish and establish is one bilingual math that is so that we can make sure that we have a qualified math teacher, that will become a math class with ESL support through co-teaching, which lets us hire and facilitate that class sooner and done well. Several of the items on the agenda are actually slight adjustments for bus drivers based on their route and to account for the time needed. And finally, the breakdown of the teams for crisis teams, school climate and safety, school improvement, threat assessment, and wellness teams at each building. And then one thing of note is that there is somebody taking advantage of the referral bonus, which is always great when our own teachers are referring other educators as well. And our next meeting is November 4th.
Thanks, Katie. Beth, would you like to give us a policy update?
Yeah, sure. Okay, so then the committee met on October 20th. And as always, we start by doing an initial review of policies which require mandated procedural updates by Strauss Esme. This month we had 7, all of which were reviewed and approved for first read on tonight's agenda. To note, I mean, obviously, you know, you guys can always read them if you have questions. You let us know. They're usually quite lengthy, but of note, we had policy 5111, eligibility of resident, non-resident students. In addition to our mandated updates rather from Strauss Esme, we had some inclusion of language to allow for tuition students. A sample tuition application was also reviewed by the committee and will be leveraged to create a MSD tuition application. Once drafted, it will be reviewed with principals for their feedback. The committee also, in connection with this policy, discussed renovations occurring at Clyde Potts Housing and the impacts on our families who are displaced during the renovation at this time and their potential timeline for returning to living within the district or relocating to another district. So more to come on that.
Also of note is policy 0162, notice of board meetings. I know we had discussed this at a couple prior policy committee meetings, and also it was noted at the board meetings, but you should know that we do have now posting notice for board meetings to newspapers. The Daily Record is our official newspaper, and Tappan Morristown is the second newspaper. We had 3 policies that we approved that were abolished for review. And then discussion, we discussed our proposed 2024-2025 board meeting dates. We reviewed those, nothing of note came up there, pretty standard. And then we also reviewed, the committee reviewed together the district and individual school counts report as of September 29th. Our next meeting is December 1st. November has been canceled, just FYI. And that's it. Thank you.
Great, thanks, Dr. Katie, would you like to give us the map update?
Yes, just 2 important points. They are finished in the end of year campaign, looking for donors to round out the year. But in big news, make sure that you and anybody you know that is talented signed up to audition on December 2nd from Morristown on Stage. Anyone who lives, works, worships, receives talent training, goes to school in Morris Township, Town, Morris Plains, and all alums of MHS are welcome. And try to register before November 12th because it will cost you nothing and you have a chance to win $1,000. So that's not bad. And then the show will be February 29th. So mark your calendar for a very fun night. Yeah, exactly.
Great, thank you, Katie. All right, now we're gonna move over to the business portion of the meeting.
Okay, moving minutes, motions 1 and 2.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Anthony, please call the roll.
Mr. Lloyd? Yeah. Ms. Murphy?
Yes.
Mrs. Pellegrino?
Yes.
Dr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Mr. Smith? Yeah. Mrs. Wall?
Yes.
Mrs. Cole?
Yes.
Mrs. Fiona?
Yes. Moving policy, motions 1 through 6.
We have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Anthony, please call the roll.
Mr. Lloyd? Yeah. Ms. Murphy?
Yes.
Mrs. Pellegrino?
Yes.
Dr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Mr. Smith? Yes. Mrs. Wall?
Yes.
Mrs. Cole?
Yes.
Mrs. Fiona?
Yes. Moving educational matters, motions 1 through 12.
Do we have a second? I'll second. Thank you. Any discussion? Anthony, please call the roll.
Mr. Lloyd? Yeah. Ms. Murphy?
Yes.
Mrs. Pellegrino?
Yes.
Dr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Mr. Smith? Yeah. Mrs. Wall?
Yes.
Mrs. Cole?
Abstain on number 11 and yes to all others.
Mrs. Fiona?
Yes. Moving pupil services, motions 1 through 3.
Second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Anthony, please call the roll.
Mr. Lloyd? Yeah. Ms. Murphy?
Yes.
Mrs. Pellegrino?
Yes.
Dr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Mr. Smith? Yeah. Mrs. Wall?
Yes.
Mrs. Cole?
Abstain on number 1, yes on 2 and 3.
Mrs. Fiona?
Yes.
Human resource, moving human resources motions 1 through 32 with revised motions 1, 3, 8, 9, and 20 and new motion number 32.
Any discussion? I'm sorry, do we have a second?
Second.
Thanks, Alan. Any discussion? Anthony, please call the roll.
Mr. Lloyd? Yes. Ms. Murphy?
Yes.
Mrs. Pellegrino?
Abstaining from motion number 18, yes to all others.
Dr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Mr. Smith? Yes. Mrs. Wall?
Abstain to motion number 21, yes to all others.
Mrs. Cole?
Yes.
Mrs. Fiona?
Yes. Moving business matters, motions 1 through 25 with new motions 24 and 25.
Do we have a second? I'll second. Thank you. Any discussion? Anthony, please call the roll.
Mr. Lloyd? Yes. Ms. Murphy?
Yes.
Mrs. Pellegrino?
Yes.
Dr. Rodriguez,
Yes.
Mr. Smith. I abstain on motion 5, yes to everything. Mrs. Wall,
Yes.
Mr. Cole,
Yes.
Mrs. Fielder.
Yes. That concludes our business matters. Do we have any new business? Okay, with that, can I have a motion to adjourn? Using second, I'll second that, all in favor? Aye. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great night.